Hello, everybody. We are back. I told you we'd be back. She's actually here this week because last time she was skiving. No, she was away.
I wasn't skiving. You said, "Oh, I'll do a review on my own" because we were out at the time.
Yeah, you were out, and I was in the mood to review a film, so I thought I'd do it.
Yeah, like a loner.
Well, I made content, and it did quite well, thank you. So
I'm
shove
glad.
that right up your dirty old bumhole.
Okay, everyone. So he's being a dick tonight.
I'm not being a dick. Anyway,
He's bullying the cripple. Cancel him. Cancel culture.
whatever. People only like
You need
cancel
to
for money.
cut this. This is just getting.
Just shut up. Right, this is a terrible start. Hello, welcome back.
And the movie begins
It
with.
doesn't. I'm trying not to put that anymore because I hate you saying it. Anyway, uh, I am Purple Midnight 8, your host as always, joined
Oh my
by
god.
Amelia once more this week.
The obsidian note was that.
Yeah, she's back. As I say, she was absent from the last review. This week we are finally moving on with Scary Movie. Mainly because I just want to get them out of the way so we can do something else. Because they irritate me. So that the fourth one will probably be my next one, and then five can just fuck off until we can find a copy for cheap somewhere. The gargoyle is trying to jump. Oi!
I'm not running after her.
Well, she's gonna regret. Anyway, so yeah, Scary Movie 3 this week. Of course, this is, as I'm sure everyone who's a fan of these will know, it's a film that does not involve the Wayans brothers from the previous two.
This is basically where it gets shit.
This is where it becomes a bit more not funny. Like, scary movies always had that sort of awkward humour that's very silly,
I think one and two will always be the best.
easily.
But I can't remember if Cindy is the same one out of one and
It's the same actress. It's still Anna Faris. I think she's in it till four, and then she's not back for five, I don't think.
yeah, because
Five, I think, has no one in it from the originals.
no, because what was it? Lindsay Lohan, Ashley Tisdale, and I can't remember his name. He's been in loads of stuff, but
It's not Charlie Sheen, is it? He's not back for number five.
I think that could be him.
For Two and a Half Men.
Yeah, but you know the one we watched with that bloke in it.
Wow, that really narrows it
No,
down. Do you remember that film that
not
has a man
not
in
the
it?
one he got married.
Oh,
Him.
George.
Yeah,
The one
George.
who did the Eminem
Yeah,
knockoff.
I'm sure George is.
I don't know. We ain't seen five for some context. That's the only one
I've
we've
seen.
missed. Oh, have you?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, that was an
I've
interesting choice.
seen it. I think like twice.
Where?
Because Mum had it on Blu-ray on DVD and then.
Oh, typical. I don't think we ever predicted this series
Mm-mm.
dragging on as much as it has. Anyway, now that we've done with that, of course, this is the first film that becomes a bit more shit, as we say. It's not got the Wayans brothers in, so it sort of loses their like humor that's good and what made this first two films so iconic. This one wasn't as bad as I remember. I remember this one being a lot worse. I know four is pretty bad, but I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong and not find it as bad as I remember it.
Sorry, I was. And are we talking about number four?
I'm talking about this film not being as bad as I remember it.
Mm,
It's not the worst. It's not four. It's not as forced and
I
unoriginal.
just feel that one and two, along with White Chicks, are like classics.
Oh yeah, and this as I was saying is because the Wayans aren't involved, they're not. It's not as iconic as it could
Mm.
have been. It does seem a lot of the humour's forced, and the cast are pretty hit and miss. But we'll get a bit more into that, of course.
I think in four they take out the Grudge.
Four is The Grudge. This one's
You
more
haven't
about the
seen the
Ring.
Grudge, have
I've seen The Grudge.
you? I
Or
used
the Ring.
to.
No, it is The Grudge.
No, the Grudge is the one with long hair where she's like,
That's kind of this one. No, this is the ring. Anyway, once she's done making her stupid noises.
Yeah, because it's the only thing I can mimic is her being like coming out, from the fucking loft, being like.
Yeah. And the little boy. It's the little boy one as well. And the...
Mm.
Anyway, we're not on about that film this week. This week we're on about number 3, as I've mentioned about 5 times. Stars has just emerged from behind the telly, so I'm scared of what's behind it now. We won't waste any more time. We've talked about nonsense. Any film but this for the last 10 minutes, possibly.
Go and read.
Read off my slides while you sit there in silence and probably go on your phone.
Because I just told you.
You can budge in and say some shit every now and then. You could just be like, oh yeah, that was really stupid, or oh yeah, that was funny. It's better than just nothing. So yeah, I'm trying. If you've seen the other reviews, you know I usually start with The Film Begins.
Can you not?
Guess scissors. Some scissors.
Okay.
Anyway, so if you've seen the other reviews, you know that I like to have the movie begins as part of the script.
He's now going to give you 3 pages long words, so go and grab a coffee or whatever.
I got through what's it called? The Holy Grail in 20 minutes, and that was 3 pages long. What? What just happened? I do hope that did not just cock up, but here we are. I'm scared. We will never find out, because that just went, you are now connected to... Okay, anyway, hopefully we're still in business. We won't find out until the editing process of this. But we haven't even started the review yet, so here we are. But I hate this fucking thing sometimes.
Yeah, but what if we're just sitting here and it's not...
It's just going to be 10 minutes of dead silence, and that's it.
It's not recorded.
It is, because it would say finish.
Okay, well if you hear my still within a deep sleep and
So yeah, we'll get into it now.
he's alive still.
He's still alive, and he's still kicking.
This week.
The cats do be prowling around the room today, which is weird, because they never show up.
We got told he was
A week to 2 weeks, and now it's like a month and a half later.
And we're on I think we're on the 5th week, and he's like, yeah, whatever.
It's alright, I'm still here, bitch. So yeah, as mentioned previously, this film does not involve the Wayans brothers, and it suffers as a result, but not too much. The bin's in the bathroom out of the way of the cats. I didn't shut the door. I swear I did. Yeah, I did. No, oh fucking. Anyway, ignore. Let's just get on with it. Amelia will be back in a moment. This film, this time, is directed by David Zucker. He is famous for these kinds of films. Did a lot with a member of the cast, Leslie Nielsen. So he did Naked Gun. I don't know if he did. Did he do Airplane? I think he might have done. Yeah, he did Airplane. He just did a lot of stupid, silly, not parodies, but films like scary movies. So it was in good hands. And I think his directing and Leslie Nielsen always makes stuff great. So, of course, we'll get right into the film now. On a rainy night, 2 women, whose names are Katie and Becca, generic blonde, stupid women. Katie is played by Jenny McCarthy, and Becca is played by Pamela Anderson. I don't know what she's doing. Tiny, please don't start making trouble. You couldn't pick a worse time. Can't get up there. She'll try. Sure, good. She's just got. Anyway, so Pamela Anderson, of course, famously a member of Baywatch, the TV series, not the Rock film. The two get confused and have some stereotypical blonde moments. Becca tells her about a scary videotape where he's supposed to die 7 days after they receive a mysterious phone call. Becca heads upstairs to find some water coming from behind a door, and opening it, she finds our first kill of the film, Katie, unresponsive, and after turning her around, she finds her dead, but fails to realise and is promptly attacked by something on the tape. And kills her as well, presumably. Not a good start having two off-screen kills as your openers, but hey. Fair enough. We'll get more on screen soon. Kind of. It's not picking up. You need to come closer.
You know when they killed the first two?
Yeah.
The one.
Yeah. Well, no shit. But that's how it was in the film. So now we get to meet our protagonist. Unfortunately, has not aged well. Tom Logan, played by the one and only Charlie Sheen, famous for Two and a Half Men and this, pretty much, and also doing a lot of drugs. Anyway, he awakes to a child screaming and is repeatedly disturbed by it throughout his morning routine. He goes outside to find his brother George, Simon Rex. I don't know what he's really known for. It's just me at the minute. Tiny is trying to burn the house down, seemingly. He's known for Scary Movie, Scary Movie 4, Scary Movie 3, Scary Movie 5, and an Avengers knockoff. Avengers of Justice Fast Wars. So yeah, and superhero movie. He's just a lot of these parodies. So he finds his brother George, also trying to find Tom's daughter, who is Sue. Forgive me, I couldn't really find a name for her. In a cornfield, and passing through, they end in a crop circle that's labelled as attack here. A news reporter, Cindy, of course, returning from Scary Movie 2 and Scary Movie 1, played by Anna Faris once more, as mentioned previously, reports on it but is swept aside by other members of the newsroom team. Tom meets with Trooper Champlin, played by Cameron Manheim, for whom we learn Tom is a disgraced priest, as Champlin's hat repeatedly changes sizes before she leaves. It's a pointless little sight gag. It's weird. George is an aspiring rapper who believes he is black and is going to a rap battle by getting on a bus labelled as going to Da Hood. This is the Eminem knockoff, parody. Cindy picks up her nephew Cody, played by Drew McCusker, from his teacher. Once again, another returning character, Brenda. And again, once more, played by Regina Hall. George arrives, and the two recognise each other from the crop circle story. George invites the two of them to his show. Cody is a psychic who has several visions about some spirits, and Cindy embarrassing herself. I think this is a parody of the kid that goes, "I see dead people."
I've never seen that.
Do you know the line though? I can't remember what that film is called. Yeah, it's from a film that has what's his name? Die Hard. Bruce Willis. Forgive me, I can't remember what the fuck it's called. She forgets him and reverses into him, setting him flying. Literally just fucking plows into him and he just gets all launched up in the air. There's a lot. What this film struggles with is finding any humour that isn't bullying this child. Because this kid gets the shit beaten out of him several times throughout. And it's funny to begin with, but then it's just like, oh god, more of the same. How many times can we make a different joke about beating this child? At Cindy's house, Cody is drawing images of a black-haired girl who apparently speaks to him. A knock at the door disturbs them, and she finds Father Muldoon, played by Daryl Hammond, who she has asked to babysit a terrified Cody. Muldoon, obviously, is a stereotype of a priest, so unfortunately that means he may or may not be a kiddie fiddler. He definitely is in this, though.
Okay.
Muldoon is definitely an offender of that variety. At the show, the host, Mahalik, played by Anthony Anderson, he's actually in one of the Scream movies, enough, but he's in a lot more than that. So I feel bad for not knowing him from much else but this. Me, Myself, and Irene. That's a good one. Transformers. Really? Fucking hell. Big Mama's House. Ferdinand. Oh, that was that terrible fucking John Cena bull film. Yeah, so he's in quite a lot. He introduces the show and it starts while George is preparing in a bathroom. George meets with Mahalik and CJ with a very interesting casting choice of Kevin Hart. First time on the channel, surprisingly. Despite how much I hate him and his comedy, because I just don't understand what people find funny about Me Short. That's like his comedy in a nutshell. And it bothers me. I just don't like comedy that revolves around one punchline. And it does have it in this because he does have it. There is a brief little shot where he is much shorter than everyone else. We get it, you're small, dude. Um, they're happy to see him and make him even more nervous. CJ volunteers to be his hype man because, of course, it's Kevin Hart. Brenda and Sydney, fucking ass, because we were watching Scream the other day. Brenda and Cindy are at the show, and Simon Cowell in a fucking weird ass out of place cameo.
He literally appears in everything.
This is the time of the early 2000s where everyone thought it was funny to pick on Simon Cowell. Like if you go back to this sort of time period and listen to a lot of a weird amount of comedy is to do with bullying Simon Cowell. I suppose that was maybe the peak of like American Idol and X Factor in the UK. But it's just like, why is he in this film? Now you just look at it and go, really? Why? Simon calls the performers dreadful before his very, very obvious stunt double is absolutely riddled with bullets. Never thought I'd have a film where Simon Cowell is shot to death. That's a first for me. I completely forgot he was in this film until we watched it. George is next on stage to rap and is clearly out of his depth. When it's his turn, he simply blows into a harmonica and calls his opponent a bitch. However, he does end up rapping and beats him. Brenda admits later that she has seen the same tape that killed Becca and Katie in the opening. She tells her that she watched it a week ago, just as her nose starts bleeding. However, Brenda simply plays it off as a practical joke twice. Brenda leaves to get popcorn as an old TV turns on, showing static. She turns it off several times, only for a video of a girl, who is played by Marnie Yang, climbing out of a well. Water pours out the TV as the girl also emerges from it. The girl attempts to attack Brenda, however she kicks the shit out of her. Just this weird, like, fight scene for some reason. However, she is quickly beaten, and Cindy, shockingly, finds her dead body shortly after. George tells Sue about it while George goes to meet Simon, played by Ajay Naidu. He is a parody of M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong, who did Signs, which is also what this film parodies a little bit. Who tells him how he may have killed Tom's wife. In a flashback, we see Champlin tell Tom about his wife being barely alive after an accident. He goes to see his wife Annie, played by Denise Richards, passing by Simon, and finds her pinned to a tree by a truck, which is also what's keeping her alive. He and Champlin sort of use food to try and describe how her body is barely intact after being snapped in half. It's disgusting. It's gross. Is forced to agree to her pleas of not having sex or remarrying before she succumbs to her wounds and dies. In the present, a wake is being held at Brenda's house. George arrives with Sue to pay her respects. George misinterprets Brenda as being alive as Mahalik arrives to try and help resuscitate her. However, they only succeed in blowing up her corpse and being thrown out. It is the weirdest scene where they just repeatedly slap the shit out of her corpse try and do CPR. Jesus. Back of the wake, Cindy looks upstairs and... What do you mean, back of the wake? We ain't gone nowhere. Oh, there may have been another scene in between this that I just thought over because it wasn't really important. She finds the tape that killed Brenda and takes it home to watch. After watching, she receives the phone call. The signal is bad, but she is told she has 7 days. 7 days. 7 days. Motherfucker needs a drink. George and the guys receive a call from Cindy and rush over to her house. CJ tells them of some people who can help, leaving George to babysit Cody. Cindy arrives at CJ's aunt Shaniqua, played by Queen Latifah's house. Not played by Queen Latifah's, like her house. Played by Queen Latifah, they arrive at her house, who is a parody of the Oracle from The Matrix. Orpheus, Eddie Griffin, obviously Orpheus, Morpheus, also The Matrix, intervenes to watch a football game, however Shaniqua spoils the game for him. Cindy hands the two of them the tape, and Shaniqua says it's related to the crop circles, and they see a lighthouse, which is important. Shaniqua ends up fighting the tape girl. It's very fucking weird. She's sort of like reaching through the TV and like pulling her out of it and ripping her hair out. Cindy returns home and finds George unconscious, and she heads to another room where she and George find out Cody has watched the tape. Phone rings for Cody, and the girl leaves a message for him that, of course, says 7 days. 7 days. Yeah, I'm not doing that every time. That night, Tom is awoken by some strange singing, and he goes into Sue's room, and in reality, finds Michael Jackson. There's a lot of just this random fucking heavy prosthetics Michael Jackson in these films. I suppose that was also a thing at the times, is like when he was having allegations of being a diddler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of like Nancy jokes in this film, I've realised. Who proceeds to fight him? After Tom throws him out a window, they watch as something that was wearing a suit that looks like Michael Jackson flees through the nearby cornfield. At work, Cindy hijacks the live broadcast in order to tell the world about the tape. However, the boss intervenes as well as a janitor, causing chaos on the auto cue. The president, played by the one and only late great Leslie Nielsen, as I mentioned earlier, Airplane, Naked Gun, all those sort of films, receives the news about the tape before a Secret Service agent, Thompson, played by Ja Rule, intervenes to protect him. Cindy manages to locate the hot lighthouse scene in the tape and visits it. Finding the architect, played by George Carlin, once again, The Matrix. The architect explains the tape and who the girl is. She is his daughter, whose name is Tabitha, who they discovered is evil, so they just drowned her. Fair enough. Fair reaction. However, she managed to curse the tape using magic. On the news, the Logan family watch different alien sightings across the world. The president gives a speech at the Mother Teresa Awards, bestowing a bobblehead to several of the award winners. He does end up, however, because of course, assaulting several guests after believing that they are aliens to kill them, and he plans on visiting Cindy. Cindy returns home and finds a drawing from Cody saying he's gone to the Logan farm and discovers that the news has been broadcast in the tape to the whole country. Cindy arrives at the farm, reuniting with Cody and the Logans before heading into the basement for safety. Several noises and the lights going out scare the group as the door is bashed repeatedly. Tom barricades the door as a shadow looms behind it. Cindy grabs a knife and uses it to show a reflection of two aliens standing outside the door. Cody is grabbed through a grate and George repeatedly beats him with a bat to save him. Mahalik tumbles through the grate as Cindy notices the aliens have left. The men head outside as the president arrives, running two aliens over. I don't think it kills them though, so that's not important. Several UFOs arrive while several SUVs carrying CJ and several rappers. However, for the sake of our video and for the channel, One of them, importantly, is RZA, who has been featured on this show before in Nobody as the Saul Goodman.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, he's not Saul Goodman. He's I can't remember his name, but he's just the actor who plays Saul Goodman's brother. However, they provide no help and just repeatedly shoot each other to death. The group are grabbed, causing Mahalik to decapitate one, making the aliens let them go and say they are there to kill Tabitha. The aliens explain the explainians. That was close. The aliens explain their strange behavior as how they greet one another and how they pee through their fingers. Cindy in the basement realizes that the farm used to belong to Tabitha's family, and when she removes a rug, she finds some wooden floorboards marked in red. Because red is bad. She removes them with the help of Cody and Sue, and presumably someone off screen who's not a child. Finding the well that Tabitha was drowned in. Tabitha appears and then fights Cindy until she grabs Cody. Cindy pleads for the human side to see reason, which briefly works until she reveals it's a trick. President opens the door, repeating a line from Airplane. Good luck, we're all counting on you. And knocks Tabitha back down the well, ending her curse. An alien appears and says goodbye by kicking George in the nuts. That's how they say goodbye. George and Cindy are later married as Tom returns to being a priest. George and Cindy drive away, of course, leaving Cody again, however, stopping before they hit him this time, but he is hit by another car. End of movie. So there you go. Scary Movie 3. That is 3 of 4. We are nearly there. What are your thoughts?
I think I like it as much as I
Yeah.
outgrown.
The first two are like timeless classics.
Mm-hmm.
This one's just a bit too campy and silly.
So I definitely watched the first.
If I had the
Again,
choice, definitely the first two. But this one and the fourth one, I would probably never watch again, other than for review purposes. It was fine still. It had its moments, and some of the effects on the aliens were good. And I think the acting was good and all that stuff. But as mentioned, it does suffer on the humour side without the Wayans. Their humour is unrivaled with these films, but these films felt a lot like I was watching like epic movie, like date movie. I know it's the same sort of shit, but it's that comedy. We do have a best kill and a worst kill for you. We both ended up agreeing that Brenda was the best, even though most of these kills were off screen.
Just
because of what happened to her afterwards. All the shit at the wake, and then her body ultimately just exploding. Worst kill, however, I do not know. I think I would probably have to do Pamela Anderson's character Becca. Because at least we saw Katie's body, we saw Brenda's body, the gang members all shot each other to death, no aliens died, Tabitha at least had like presence, but Becca just screams and disappears. So yeah, overall, it's not the best, it's not the worst, but it's not 1 and 2. And you know it's not 1 and 2 when you're watching it. So thank you for listening to Scary Movie 3. I will be picking 4 for the next one. I can promise you that. Not for the next like review we do, but for the next one I pick, just so it's done. It's Amelia's turn this time. I believe it might be Scream. I don't know if she's decided on that, but we were talking about that because we wanted to start another franchise, and you love your Scream, especially now that we have 6 to do. So yeah, thank you for watching. We'll see you in a few days for Amelia's choice. But in the meantime, thank you for listening.